Welcome into Queen City News Plus Live here, 3 o'clock on a Thursday, as we're coming to you live from the Blue Room here at the studios of Queen City News. You got anchor Brian Blakely, we got Morgan Francis anchor here. Queen City News, your meteorologist Andrew Brightman is going to be talking about that weather forecast, especially heading into the Panthers game on Saturday, where we're tracking rain and possibly the kitchen sink of weather that we're worried about. And, of course, producer-director Austin McCollum running things over here for us. And, Morgan, let's start out by talking a lot about what happened yesterday and today's events that have now worked into today up in Minneapolis. Certainly a tragic situation with that shooting by an ICE agent of a young woman there in Minneapolis.
Right. As a reminder, ICE shot and killed a woman, a 37-year-old woman who was in her vehicle, red SUV, and it was in the middle of the road. A number of agents were yelling at her, some of them saying, "Get out of the car." She sped off, and there was an agent in front of the car who moved out of the way and then shot through her window and ended up killing her. Her red SUV crashed into another car in a snowbank, and there's been a lot of outrage and tensions that have been escalating since this happened. But now it sounds like Minnesota's investigations agencies are kind of being blocked from...
Put on the sidelines from this, as far as saying they don't have jurisdiction because of this. And there's a lot of questions about who was justified here. Were they justified? The Department of Homeland Security says this is a domestic terrorism situation, that the woman, Renee Good, 37-year-old, used her car as a weapon to go at one of the agents when the agents shot twice in the face and killed her. But the video, there's a lot of people pointing to that video that you're watching right here that says otherwise. But in this investigation, to find out exactly who did anything, the BCA, or the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension Enforcement Operations there, are saying they're being left out, and it's solely up to the FBI right now and Department of Homeland Security on this investigation on what happened.
So initially it sounded like the FBI and the BCA were going to be like a joint investigation. This change came from the U.S. Attorney's Office deciding the FBI would investigate instead of both of them. And as you mentioned, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem said that they just don't have jurisdiction in this investigation. So we know yesterday that the mayor had harsh words for ICE agents. Governor Tim Walz criticized the Trump administration for freezing Minnesota out of this investigation. So day two here, tensions are starting to escalate even more. We've seen a number of protests. And I think we're looking at live images right now. At a makeshift memorial for Renee Good, who was the woman who passed away.
37-year-old mother of three, U.S.-born citizen from Colorado, lived in Kansas City for a little bit, had started a business last year called Be Good Handiwork, and lived in Minneapolis. Noem also, as far as Kristi Noem, she did not identify the ICE shooter who was involved, but did say that this was an experienced law enforcement Border Patrol agent who had acted according to his training. And they do have one of the largest enforcement operations that are going on for immigration in the country ever right now in Minneapolis, with 2,000 agents that are on hand.
And I think that training, too, will be under the microscope as to whether or not those agents followed the handbook of what you're supposed to do in a situation like that. And we also don't know everything that led up to the video that we're seeing as well. So there are still a lot of questions that I think will get answered in the investigation. But obviously, this is just a day removed from quite a horrible event that happened in Minnesota. And
it's certainly, and something like this is what we're seeing we have reporter David Schumann talked with a couple of people of immigrants here, U.S. citizens here that were detained in Salisbury. And a little bit more on that, Morgan. They were detained Monday, and ICE agents here, they took video of that encounter.
Right. So this is a video from two brothers who were in a vehicle. It was a traffic stop, and they asked, "Why are we being pulled over?" And according to these two men, the agents didn't say why they were pulled over, but said, "Are you guys U.S. citizens?" And that's kind of how things started. One of the agents said that it was okay that he record on his cell phone. Another agent later on said no, and said that they were being detained. Then, as we see in the video, reached inside the vehicle, supposedly grabbed the man's chest at some point, opened the door. Another agent lunged inside. So this encounter, these men have described that it has scarred them. One of them has had trouble sleeping. Another said that, he feels afraid when he sees even a car that looks like one of the agent's cars. So this is, and again, these two men were U.S. citizens.
Yeah, and we reached out. The question is whether this was racial profiling in any way. And we reached out to Border Patrol to have some sort of statement. And they did send us a statement finally today, not yesterday.
Okay.
And it says no U.S. citizens were arrested. ICE law enforcement was conducting a targeted enforcement operation to arrest a previously removed illegal alien. Question on the wording there of officers were conducting surveillance outside the illegal alien's house when one of the illegal alien's cars departed the driveway. What's interesting too here is about, I always talk about this because we had it in Charlotte, is about certain profiling. Can you do that as ICE agents? Well, so Supreme Court ruling in September said that you could. It gives immigration agents a green light to stop anyone they suspect here of being illegally, and they can do some sort of profiling to stop people when they're in their car or on the streets if they want to.
Yeah. And I think, we're seeing just across the board, across the U.S., that when these, enforcements are happening, people are on kind of a heightened alert, and these types of things have happened, and it doesn't make, these U.S. citizens feel good about the encounter as well. Want to bring it back here hyper locally. We've talked a lot about the safety of transit in the Charlotte area with two recent stabbing attacks, one involving Irina Zarutska, as everyone knows, was a refugee from Ukraine who came here and was brutally attacked on the light rail on the Blue Line. The head of the Federal Transit Administration is now coming to Charlotte. They're going to ride the Blue Line, the administrator, Marcus Molinaro. And he's also set to meet with city and business leaders who are going to have some sort of a round table and kind of discuss safety in the Charlotte area.
Yeah, and there's a renewed effort to ramp up and give sort of the perception of safety and try to make that better for people in Charlotte.
Hired a firm to do that.
And hired a firm to do that. But also it comes as the Charlotte leaders, they're placing the renewed safety, but also because the outside pressure that you're getting from the federal government and also lawmakers in Raleigh and
State House Oversight Committee.
State House Oversight Committee. And so they're wanting to see about, and then now you got the Federal Transit Administrator, Molinaro, is going to be here. He wants to ride that and see what give a little bit more view of what he is seeing there as far as the safety goes. But he's going to ride the Blue Line. He's also going to talk to business leaders here a little bit further. And what happens out of that, not really sure.
Well, and whether or not he'll get an accurate picture of what it's like riding the Blue Line, if he'll have a security detail with him. I mean, I think his experience could be very different riding the Blue Line than someone who does it every day and at different hours of the day. As you mentioned, this comes amid the State House Oversight Committee. They sent letters to Mayor Vi Lyles, the new CMPD chief, Estella Patterson, Sheriff Gary McFadden, requesting their testimony on January 22nd on public safety. So there's a lot of attention on Charlotte.
Microscope on Charlotte for public safety,
right.
Certainly very high right now after a lot of incidents. The other thing we're following right now is in Washington, Morgan, and that is the Senate that advanced a resolution today, Thursday, that would limit President Trump's ability to conduct further attacks in Venezuela. And it's kind of sounding a note of disapproval here for the expanding ambitions here in the Western Hemisphere. Whether this has any teeth and whether it goes anywhere, not really sure.
But I mean, this virtually has no chance of becoming law, right? I mean, for the Senate, they had five Republicans that signed. Sided with Democrats on this, but it would take the president to sign it if it were to pass the Republican-controlled House. So this is not likely to happen, but it's symbolic, right? They see this. Democrats mostly see this escalation in Venezuela, and they're concerned about it. Meanwhile, Republicans have shown a lot of support for the move that the Trump administration made to capture the former president, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife. Former president, Nicolas, Act, by the way, it would limit the president's ability to put U.S. forces into hostile environments without Congress being involved. It would require a declaration of war or a specific statutory authorization or a national emergency caused by an attack on the U.S. or its territory. So those are kind of the stipulations if that were to make it to the end.
And President Trump attacked this in a Truth Social post today after that procedural vote, saying these five here, Rand Paul, Kentucky, Lisa Murkowski, Alaska, Josh Hawley, Missouri, Todd Young, Indiana, and Susan Collins out of Maine, said that these, quote, guys should never be elected to office again, and that the measure they supported greatly hampers Americans' self-defense and national security. So President Trump obviously not happy about something like this, but this would have to go to the House, and then it would have to be signed by President Trump into law, which was what we were saying, that this is
it's
largely
kind of
not going to go anywhere.
Dead on arrival, yeah.
And a one note to that, the last time a president vetoed a bill that passed both chambers of Congress was Andrew Johnson back in the 19th century.
Yeah, that's significant.
Which President Trump has likened himself to, Andrew Johnson, yes.
Want to head to outer space.
Yeah.
NASA's dealing with an issue on board, some sort of a medical emergency, Brian?
Yeah, well, they were trying to do a spacewalk there, but one of the astronauts was experiencing some sort of medical concern with one of the crew members. And as you can imagine, you're in tight quarters there. So they had to cancel
Is there a doctor on board?
Is there a doctor on board? And it really is not when you think about being up in space, but it's very concerning when you have a medical issue that's up on space. And so you don't want to have someone going out into space and bringing anything out back in. And then the safety concerns about having that astronaut there. So there's a question whether they're going to have to bring that single crew member who is stable back here on Earth at some point. That has happened before, as we've seen just a few months ago. As we do know that the International Space Station, they do have several Japanese astronauts up there. There's several American astronauts up there, and one Russian cosmonaut on board, and we don't know exactly who that person is that is actually having a medical issue and what that exactly is.
But it makes you think about the training that they go through, not just physically but mentally, to deal with anything that could happen. You know, the astronauts that were up there for far longer than they were supposed to be up there, trying to bring them back home a number of months ago, to be able to all of a sudden adjust to that mindset of we don't know when we're coming home. Same with this situation is, you know, some sort of a medical emergency, and you know, you don't have access to a standard hospital that we have and the care that we have here. So just the mindset to be able to stay calm in a situation like that.
Well, and think about it too, because we're in this room right here in the Blue Room. If you could pop that up from the big wide cam there, this is maybe about the size of the capsule, maybe a little bit smaller here, but that imagine being up there for 6 to 8 months or something like that, and all of a sudden getting the flu, like a lot of people are getting right now, or whatever it was. And then what do? What happens? So
I would fear getting in a fight more than getting the flu with your crew members.
I wouldn't want to get in a fight.
Could you imagine that much time with Blakely?
Is that the worst thing in the world? I think not.
Oh, jeez, right. Hey, there he is, meteorologist Andrew Brightman. Let's talk about the weather today, because it was very nice. I played golf today. It was awesome.
How'd you shoot?
You know, good, bad, and ugly. Usually,
you were even until what hole? That's how it usually.
One.
Okay.
3 putted the first hole, and then it was all downhill from there.
No. All right, there's always tomorrow, right? Yep. Let's bring in meteorologist Andrew Brightman. Andrew, we get closer to game day, and this forecast is getting a little easier to predict, but probably not the best news that fans want to hear.
Yeah, easier to predict, Morgan, but not getting any better here across the Carolinas. In fact, increasingly likely, we're going to be talking about showers, storms, rain, wind, the works. Now, I was talking about this with meteorologist Brandon Lawson here. You can watch our discussion here with some of the weather history on Pinpoint Weather University when it comes to the Panthers playoff games, but that might actually help the Panthers here. I mean, they are the largest home underdogs in the history of the NFL playoffs. So obviously get some kind of wild weather. Maybe that could be the equalizer for the Panthers. We got 60s and 70s the rest of the week. We'll see that again tomorrow. We'll see that again on Saturday before the front moves through. Could even see a possible shower tomorrow. The rain chances have ticked up a little bit here for the end of the week, but the major story continues to be what we're watching here as we get to the weekend, specifically on your Saturday. Temperatures right now in the middle 60s, so comfortable though. Still about 5 to 8 degrees cooler compared to this time yesterday. A little bit of an easterly breeze helping to bring our temperatures down here a little bit across the region, along with a little bit of high cloud cover. You can see it on Pinpoint Satellite right now. Just still some sun peeking through, but a little bit more cloud cover across the region compared to the spectacular weather that we had yesterday. Still 70 though in Sherrod right now, 66 in Wadesboro, 64 in Concord, at low to mid 50s as we head up into the higher elevations. And you can see here compared to 24 hours ago, about 7 degrees cooler here in Charlotte. This time yesterday, we were right around the 70 degree mark, but we're still roughly almost 15 degrees above average for this time of year. As for the rest of today, we're looking good, but just a decent amount of cloud cover and temperatures staying up here as we go through the overnight hours. I'm talking more about those temperatures, your Friday forecast, and of course, Your all-important Panthers playoff forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Andrew, thanks so much. We're going to go all in on Panthers here after commercial break. We're bringing in Mike Lissette, who always lacks energy. The joke. You'll see when we come back. More Queen City News Plus Live after this.
Hey, welcome back to Queen City News Plus Live. It is playoff week here for the Panthers and for all of us here at Queen City News, the official home of the Carolina Panthers. I want to go ahead and bring in Mike Lissette now. Morgan, as Mike Lissette with CSL. Buddy, we got a big game coming up on Saturday. We're 10-point dogs, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, what else is new, right? I mean, this has been the way it's been essentially all season. And the funny thing with this team is you just never know what
Jekyll
you're going
and
to
Hyde.
get.
I heard that reference.
You know what you're going to get, yeah.
I heard someone say they're like Jekyll and Hyde, and I just thought it was so accurate. You just don't know who's going to show up week to week.
Last 2 weeks we haven't liked what we've seen, but if you're a fan that thinks on the positive side, this is their bounce back week, right? I mean, that's what it's going to be.
Well, what are you thinking there? Because you've seen the team the last couple of weeks. What were they looking at? What install day was yesterday, as we know, and that's the big day for practice where you get ready for the Rams if you're doing your film work and taking a day off. What are you seeing?
Well, the good news is they're healthy. Robert Hunt, who's been out for a while, appears ready to make his comeback. He has not played since very early in this season. Now, on the one hand, if all goes well, he will boost the offensive line, which hopefully will get the run game going. On the other hand, you know, he was ready last week, and they held him back because they felt he wasn't ready. So you just hope that they're able to get him up to speed as soon as possible. I mean, the big thing is when you look back on the first game that Carolina faced the Rams this year, and I'm doing a story on the last time it happened, so I got to be careful not to say St. Louis because that's my first inclination.
Yeah, right.
But they were able to run the ball without any impunity. I mean, they were able to just basically beat it down them every play out. Rico Dowdle had a major game. But that run game has been non-existent the last couple of weeks, and that's been a big reason for their downfall, among other things. They've got to get that run game going. They've also got to continue to get to Matthew Stafford. He had a long streak of mistake-free football going into that game, and the Panthers, I think, got him three times in that game.
And the big clutch one at the end.
I don't know if that's going to happen again, but if history is to repeat itself, those same things have to come into play again.
Well, and there's not a lot of history at quarterback, right? Bryce Young is in his first playoff game. So what are you getting from him in terms of interviews? Do you feel like he's confident going into this matchup?
Well, I mean, the thing is with Bryce, you're never going to see Joe Namath out there with the overconfident, you know, machismo. And Bryce is kind of even keel regardless of the situation. When he loses, he's sort of got the same attitude. When he wins, he doesn't, you know, smush it in people's throats. So, and in a lot of ways, that's a very admirable quality. He's not the kind of guy that's going to get too high and too low. So I think he's ready for it. I mean, this is a guy that proved himself in big games back in college and stepped up to the occasion.
Really bigger fan base watching the stadiums.
If they go down this week, it's not because Bryce was nervous. If they go down in Bryce's bad game, it's because Bryce has had a lot of games this year where he hasn't been at his best. So
I need him, yeah.
I wouldn't throw it on that and say this team's not ready. I mean, the team is as ready as they can be for the situation. But again, we just don't know what version of the team get.
That's the thing. You just don't know what version. Hopefully, we get some good refs that we didn't have down in Tampa Bay. Doggone it! That was
wow.
Yeah,
you gotta take care of it yourself.
Oh my gosh!
People were telling me you were not so nice to those referees.
Oh, those refs were horrible. Hey, let's talk a little bit about what is going to be coming up on Saturday, 4:30 kickoff time, right here on Queen City News from B of A. But CSL's got a big show coming up.
Yeah, we certainly do. We're doing something coming your way Friday evening, and we're also doing something before the game. We're getting ready for the game. I mean, it's so big. Cam Newton's coming back, man.
I was hoping you would say that.
Cam Newton's coming back. I mean, look, we've been waiting for this moment. He and the team had a falling out a couple of years ago when he said they didn't include him in alumni events. It seemed like things were thawing. And if there was ever a moment to bring the guy back and for him to feel welcome back into the fold, this is it. Maybe that's the spark the Panthers need.
Hey, time heals all wounds.
Time heals all wounds.
So what exactly is he going to be doing?
He's banging the drum.
Banging the drum, right.
Hammering that thing hard. Going to put a hole in it.
And then 2 o'clock, big CSL show. So we're looking forward to that on Saturday. And then we'll look forward to your show. I mean, your story about the X-Clown.
X-Clown route, yeah.
It is cool. I talked to Dick Stockton, the legendary announcer, and he remembers. It amazes me how vividly everyone that was associated with that game remembers it to this day. 21 years to the day, Saturday.
Panthers fans do remember that because they're few and far between, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk about the weather going into that right now, because that's the big concern for Panthers fans. Looking very nice outside right now on a Thursday. We got 64 degrees, a little bit overcast, but it is a precursor of Morgan, because we do have a lot of rain that we're worried about coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's, it's just something that the Panthers fans are going to have to deal with. I mean, last time the Panthers played the Rams, it was on a rainy
day. Yeah.
So, hopefully history will repeat itself there. Bringing in meteorologist Andrew Brightman. Andrew,
I feel so much taller.
put your chair down. We're looking at Lake Norman. It wouldn't be such a bad day to get out on the lake.
I mean, for the middle of January, Morgan, it doesn't get much better than what we've seen here over the past couple of days. I mean, yesterday probably took the cake here, getting up into the low 70s, not a cloud in the sky, but even today is still pretty nice with a little bit of high cloud cover, temperatures in the middle 60s. Beach Mountain, there are skiers and snowboarders out there. They're not blowing a lot of snow. It's been so warm out there, but still it's pretty, decent spring skiing weather here in the middle of January. Pinpoint satellite shows that high cloud cover moving on in. Radar is quiet. We zoom out here and look off to our west. It's this storm system you see here across the plains. That is what's going to be moving towards the Carolinas. Out in front of it, a lot of instability here, the potential for some strong storms on the way. Let's get right into it here with Futurecast and what we're going to be watching here. And this evening, just a lot of cloud cover, and that cloud cover moves in as we go throughout the overnight hours and heading into your Friday morning. That's going to keep our temperatures on the milder side here across the Carolinas. 7 o'clock in the morning, slight chance of a sprinkle, but certainly just kind of a gloomy start out there. Might get a little breakage in the clouds. Futurecast is very aggressive with our temperatures getting up into the middle 70s, but nonetheless, no matter what, it's going to be another mild day out there. Now, Friday afternoon, we have seen the rain chances come up across portions of the foothills and mountains, looking increasingly likely. Places like Morganton, Hickory, Jefferson, Boone. You're going to see some wet weather during the afternoon hours. Now, even Friday evening here, trying to push into Charlotte. The frontal boundary stalls out initially here Friday night, but some scattered showers are even possible around the QC. That starts to lift back off to the north as we go through the overnight hours. Latest run here with Futurecast as we go into your Saturday morning shows those scattered showers not quite moving into the Charlotte area until after 10 o'clock in the morning. Now, as we get to the middle part of the afternoon, and there's some of those scattered showers and storms here, continuing right through the start of the game potentially. We're now to 7 o'clock here, showing more scattered wet weather, potential thunderstorms. We do have a marginal risk of severe weather, so unfortunately, you're hoping for beautiful weather for the Panthers game. That is not going to be happening. Now, the frontal boundary finally moves through as we go through the overnight hours and heading into your Sunday morning, and then from there, beautiful weather, albeit probably close to 20 degrees colder compared to what we're going to be seeing on your Saturday here. This is another interesting aspect for the game, is talking about the winds and how I think this really could play a major role here in this game. Notice at noon, wind gusts upwards of 40 miles an hour are going to be possible. We're going to have howling winds out of the southwest before this front moves through, jacking up our temperatures, trying to push them all the way to the middle 70s. And still around 5 o'clock, if the game, there's no issues in terms of any lightning delays, seeing very gusty winds. I'm going to be very interested to see how this is going to be playing with the kicking game. Southwesterly winds basically go almost completely perpendicular to B of A. So it could be a lot of crosswind for both the kicking game and potentially you got the Rams high-flying offense here. They like to try to throw the ball deep. That might be an issue that potentially for the Panthers. I hope Mike is taking notes there with the weather.
He is
with
laughing.
the weather. Now, as you go to your Sunday morning, the winds do start to die down. So maybe you want to do a little tailgating. In the morning on Saturday, unfortunately, increasingly likely we're going to see some showers moving through. Temperatures, though, going to be still very mild. And then around kickoff here, 70 degrees at 4:30, showers, storms, and some possible very blustery conditions out there as we see this frontal boundary moving on through. We go to your pinpoint 7-day forecast here. So an unsettled, to say the least, Panthers forecast, and then sort of back to reality temperature-wise as we go into early next week.
So what's your prediction? You think we're going to see a lot more going for it on 4th and 1 because of the wind?
Potentially, yes. I don't think we'll just, if the forecast holds up with southwesterly winds, which basically the stadium is oriented northwest to southeast, it could be one of those situations where you don't see a lot of kicks past the 20 or 25 yard line. If we do see those 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and also on passes more than 25 air yards, it's going to be difficult here. Those gusty winds, it's an open stadium, 30-mile-per-hour, 35-mile-per-hour winds, that will definitely impact the passing game. And that's not even to think about the rain and thunderstorms that we could see as well. So kind of a very interesting forecast here. I'm not a betting person, but the over-under is 46.5. I'm a little skeptical we can see that much scoring.
Yeah, especially if it's going to be wet out there, and that's going to be ground and pound.
Yeah.
So, and then taking the clock. All right, we're going to have some good video coming up for you from a scary situation happening out in Western Washington, and we'll have more of that coming up on Queen City News Plus Live.
All right, welcome back. We have some interesting video out of Washington State, Brian.
Scary.
Yeah, I mean, some weather conditions caused some power lines to fall on the road, and this driver, apparently to no fault of their own, because you couldn't even see the cables, just drove, as you can see, right into them.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, you imagine if you were driving that, and all of a sudden you got picked up, and you were just dangling in the air, and of course they couldn't get out of that for a while because you were worried about the power. It was still live at that point, so they had to wait a while and sit in their truck and wait for them to get that fixed. But certainly a scary situation. This happened in Mason County, which is west of Seattle, out there off of the Hood Canal, an area, and myself and
I was going to say, we got two guys from Seattle for a little bit.
They've driven that road.
Beautiful out there, and the Olympics on the peninsula out there. So a scary situation for this poor guy, but he ended up no problems.
Yeah. Well, I know we've talked a lot about Panthers preview stuff. Tomorrow we're going to be on the rooftop of Fahrenheit, CSL, at 7 o'clock, so make sure to tune in for that. And thank you so much for watching Queen City News Plus Live today.
Have a great day.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.